Now we're in the I'm going down. Doo, 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 I'm going.
Welcome to Message Fulfilled. Message Fulfilled identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, you guys, if you rock with me every Monday, you know what I do and how I do. I introduce a special guest. And in doing that, I give you a few things, just a few things they're associated with. So let's get started. One, she was born in LA, but in her words, she came to age in Las Vegas, which I love that, being a Las Vegas native. Yay! Number two, I want to make sure I get it right. She is a social worker, field liaison manager. And last but definitely not least, drum roll, she is the Las Vegas Alumnae president for Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority. You guys, please put your hands together and welcome my beautiful guest. I'll say it again. My beautiful guest, Miss Zarinah.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. We made it.
Let me say this. It was meant to be because I tried to grab you there. I had to leave, and I say there. We'll speak of where that was later. And then we communicated, I think, via email, and it just didn't line up. And you just happened to appear at my place of business. So listen, that's 3 times God said you got to get her home.
Yes, that is that. You couldn't have planned it better. I literally was just sitting right there.
Girl.
You walked in.
Yes.
There we go. It was meant to be.
Well, I'm so thankful. As I say to all my guests, thank you so much for saying yes to me on a Friday because you can be doing something else. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. So let's just dive in and talk about where I met you originally was at a tobacco-free workshop.
Yes.
I didn't know who you were. I came in not at the very beginning, but you were hosting. And because I love to interview people, I love people with the energy. You just really had that sister energy. Like I already knew you, and I'm sitting at the table watching you, and I was like, I really like to get to know more information about you. And we talked about how that came about. So just tell me a little bit of how you began or how you connected with that program to be able to host it.
Absolutely. So, first of all, that's literally how I move through life. I don't think I've ever met a stranger. I think it's just a reintroduction that happens. So usually I bring that energy when I meet folks or even host. I think that's even kind of newer for me. I used to host a long time ago events in high school, and I just kind of started returning back to it because improv or natural being thinking on your feet like that. It brings me joy. So I said, I want to get back to things that bring me joy. So I started hosting and emceeing events. Now, with that particular event, I had started volunteering with the Because We Matter campaign through the Southern Nevada Health District under the guidance of Mikhail Holmes.
Yes.
And I volunteered. It was at the height of the pandemic. I just wanted to get out of the house and do something productive. And she just happened to send out like a message to students, I think to grad students. I was a grad student at the time, or had just graduated. And they sent this message out to all the students, and I had just graduated. And I said, well, it sounds like this is something I can do to get out the house and be of service. So I replied, messaged her, and from then it just has been nonstop. I participate in No Menthol May every year. This weekend, we're starting the jazz festival where we promote No Menthol May, and it has just been a joy. So when she began hosting her her tobacco-free summit this is her second year doing it, she asked me to MC it last year, and I returned as the second year, and that's where we met. And you learn something new every year. Like there's so much into the tobacco industry and how they market to the African American community and how they specifically target us in certain ways. And now with the whole thing about vaping, it's just there's so much unknown about it, but there's enough known to make you look at it in a second light. And that's why I like going to the summit, because they provide so much information. And I wanted to deliver my not a performance, but I want to deliver my participation as MC in a way that made it really relatable. It's not just facts being thrown at you, but this is a sister girl conversation. This is a place for you to reconnect with the community and become informed. And then what you do with that information after that is to spread the word, and you run tell that. So I have enjoyed my time there, and I met you there, and I enjoyed it. And I remember when you came up to me and you said, I have something. I was like, I got to get back to her. And then next thing you know, life happened, and then it just life has a really funny way of bringing you full circle and bring you back into the path that you should be in. So for us to have crossed paths again in the way that we did was definitely divine.
Absolutely. I when I looked up, I was like, there she is. And literally it doesn't, if somebody emailed me, I'm reaching out. It was meant to be in this form, in this fashion, and I'm really thankful. But you did a wonderful job. I did learn. I would encourage people, if it's one next year, to definitely
Yeah,
come, because the third hand of smoke, people passing that have never smoked before, it just
yeah,
really got down in the nitty gritty of things that may not have been talked about on a national level. And we know that's
right.
for a reason.
hmm Very intentional, very intentional by the industry and those who, seem to benefit from the way tobacco products are promoted, and even vaping products, how those are promoted. It's just there's a clear winner in all of this, and it's business and it's tobacco industry, and it's not us and it's not our community. So it's important to be informed and really focus on that third hand. Like, you should have a say about, what you're exposed to in your environment. And tobacco is one of those products where it kind of takes your voice away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely need to have a summit on that, or not a summit, excuse me, a conversation around
Yeah.
that again. And I would love to have you
Yes.
and another lady that I met, and maybe we can do a three-way where we can talk about the benefits of being exposed to these things.
Mhm.
Because another thing that we talked about there, and I don't mean to go into deep dive, but how
Yeah.
they target our babies specifically with the look, the things, and how
hmm
it's so easy to have access to. But that's a whole nother story. But I applaud you for
Yes.
being a part of something that really brings attention to our overall health, whether you smoke or not.
Yes, that's 100%. I mean, we talk to smokers, non-smokers, everybody in between. And, it's just about being informed so that you can make the decision what's best for you and your family. So, and Vegas is a big tobacco city, considering that, the casinos and the gaming, and it's a
Mhm.
big connection there. So for me to volunteer and be a part of it is because I truly care about our community and making
Yeah.
sure that we have the best opportunity to be successful. And that's why I participate. So,
Well, I'm gonna be real honest. I am not in the business of telling grown folks what to do.
yeah,
My focus
right.
was to expose our young people and our babies, to give
Yeah.
them a broader view that
hmm
what they do now affects them in the future. And that's where my, even when we talk about this again, I wanted to be targeted towards them, because they are targeting our babies so young.
Yes.
So.
Yep, that's so true. That is so true. And and the advertisements, and they got us when we were young in movies and in magazines. Everybody looks so cool when they, have their cigarette or whatever tobacco product it is. And we need our young people to also know that there are other options. And to be cool, you don't have to do X, Y, and Z. You are already cool. You were literally born cool. It's
Come
cool as in
on.
our DNA.
Come
Cool
on.
is in our DNA.
Say
So
that.
you don't need that. So you
Now,
don't need all that.
whew,
So,
honey, you are right. That's 100% cool is in our DNA. And as we talk
mhm.
about cool, I'm going to
Yes.
transition and talk about music. Music,
Yes.
honey, has turned me
Yes.
all the way out in a great way. Okay.
Yes.
I say all of that to say, can you identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or given you perspective. Now,
Mm.
before you
Okay.
answer, there's a
Mhm.
couple of rules to this, okay? You
Yes.
ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
If you could sing, I need you to sing your throat box out, honey.
Gosh.
And she's like, what? If, if
Me,
you,
me, me.
yes, if you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. But,
Oh,
if you cannot do either one, I need you to say it with passion. You know, when they say in the street, stand 10 toes down, I need to be
yes.
able to feel it. So I'll go back to my original question. You ready?
Yes. I want to get ready. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm ready.
Can you identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or given you perspective?
Yes. So I would say one song that, and it's not even like a complicated song. It's pretty simple, but it's Jill Scott's Hear My Prayer. I think it's Hear My Prayer. Did I mess that up? Because I literally hear my call. It's hear my call. I can't tell you how many times in my life, like literally, that's all I have the energy to say.
Mm.
That's all the prayer that I can give for me to be wrapped up in God's love. Like that, literally, if that's all I can get out, I, baby, that's it. That's all I need to do. And I know that He'll come and save me. So when I heard that song, just hearing her delivery, it was just, oh, I've been there. I felt that in my soul. Like, ooh, am I singing this? Like her voice is my voice at this point. So I don't have the voice to sing it, but I identify with it so much. It resonates with them. It's my spirit. That is my voice at that point. Um,
Do you have some
I
lyrics
love
you
it.
can tell us about if
Yeah,
you don't sing?
yes. I know. I was like, let me get the lyrics. So let me get the lyrics. That's another thing. I'm really bad with lyrics. I'm real good at making them my own to stuff. But this one, I want to make sure I
Me
get it
too,
right. I was like, there'll be 10 years later, and I'll be like, is that what they've been saying? I was
girl.
like, oh, I made it all. But this particular song, one of the things that she says is, here I am again, asking questions, waiting to be moved. I am so unaware of my perception. What I thought I knew, I don't seem to. Ooh, I said, okay, how many times do I lean upon my own understanding of what is happening? But here I am again, like I'm messed up, I'm screwed up. I don't know where I'm going, but I originally thought I did, but now I don't. And I've been in that situation so many times, especially in my youth, in my 20s. You're trying to figure out life. I remember going from job to job to job, and every time thinking, I know this is the one. I'm going to be successful after this. Because I remember, growing up, you see the 20s and 30-year-olds, they got their lives together, they married, they
Uh-huh.
got kids, they making bank, and I'm just like, I just made $100 this week. I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills, but this was supposed to be the dream job. I went to school, I did the thing, so here I am again, and I am asking questions, just waiting to be moved. Then she says, where is the turn so I can get back to what I believe in? Back to
Mm.
the old me. Back to the old me. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the same situation, that same frame of mind where I feel lost. And when you feel lost, then you lose your identity. And if you lose your identity, you lose the things that were firm, the firm ground that you thought you were standing on. There's
Mhm.
nothing like losing that. How
Yes.
do you move forward and you're on sinking ground? That's not going to work. So in this song, she goes back to the source. You got to help me out, man. Like I'm trying to do what you called me to do. I'm lost. I need your help again. And I don't feel bad. When you look at the word again, it's like I can't feel bad about falling. I can't feel bad about it. I might have to come again and again and again. And the beauty of that is knowing that he will never get tired.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever spiritual, deity you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe that they, being higher, will not tire a human mortal flesh and blood like myself. So here I am again. And there's no shame in asking again and again, as many times as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to the chorus real quick. So this is the thing. When she belts this out, my gosh, she says, God, please hear my call. I'm afraid for me. Love has burned me raw and I need your healing.
Mm.
I need your healing.
Mm.
Whoo, hold up.
Mm. Uh-oh.
This, that is the essence. That's the essence of this whole thing. I need when life does you wrong, you feel burned, dejected. I have been let down by careers many a time. And that's for me, my biggest through line is like where do I find my joy in doing what I do?
Mm-hmm.
And thinking this is the thing that's gonna be the thing, and it's not the thing. And then I'm like, oh my God, now I'm stuck again. But this is a time where I have to go back and says, I've been burned yet again, and I need healing. Healing is the only way to move forward. I can't just keep
Yes.
going in this thing. I can't be burned and scarred and hurt. I need healing.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is a balm. It's
Mm.
asking for a balm.
Mm.
And or for some people, they see it as a salve or a balm, and you just rub that into your skin so that you can get that healing that you need to keep going and moving forward. For me, this song reminds me of my grandmother, who was my salve, I tell you, since I left her house and I graduated and went out into the world, I went back to her house so many times. I
Mm.
was like, I'm moving back in. She was like, well, come on.
See?
You know, come
Mm.
on, come on. And that hug and that spending time, and I'm ready to go again. And I'm leaving her house. And I'm like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. And she's like, all right, I'll be
Oh.
here. And that having something like that physically on earth or having something like that spiritually, either way, having that home base that you can tap back into, this song is a representation of that. And it's one of my it's one of my favorites. I have sung it so many times. I sung it crying, boohoo, snot crying. I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
did that be the best
oh,
kind?
the best. It's the best catharsis that you got to get it out. Don't hold it in. And then wake up in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm
Yes.
ready. Let's go.
Yes.
So this for me is that song.
I
Hear my
love
call.
that.
Just got.
I love that. I feel like as you're talking about it, it's not only a song for healing, it's also a therapy song. It's to remind you
Mm-hmm.
that sometime we will do it again. As you were talking,
Yeah.
it made me think about when I would go to the shelter to donate. And back
Yeah.
way before COVID, they would take you around and kind of let you see the certain things if you donated often. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember the lady saying to me as I'm going through and I'm seeing all the little, for the babies, the older kid size, she said, mothers that go through this go 7 times. So you may see them the first
Mm-hmm.
time and they said they may not come back. But she said sometime it takes 7 times. And seven is
Yeah.
my favorite number, is completion.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, we go through different stages in life, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we will fall. But the
Yeah.
key to it all is to find a space, a step to get back
Mm-hmm.
up and not just lay there and say, okay, how can I look at this as a blessing? Because I believe any stumbling block that I've encountered, when I choose to look at it as a blessing, I'm like, what can I learn out of that? It has been a
Yes.
bigger blessing when I chose to look at it as a blessing instead of a hindrance.
Yes. That, oh, I can't remember. I feel like I was just talking to somebody about that. There are times where those stumbling blocks will come and it will make you want to get out of character, might want to cut up. Somebody need to know about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if you approach this matter curiously and be curious about the stuff when it comes, what am I supposed to get out of this?
That part.
There's always a lesson. If you stay curious, we could just get out of so many issues, get out of our own way, and we grow and develop more versus you coming out of a bag on somebody. And then
Yes.
now you're dealing with a case and you're dealing with some drama that you didn't even want to be dealing with in the first place. But if you stayed curious, it just it I feel like you level up. You open up another level of life. You unlock another I don't know games that much. My kids do, but that you open up this another level that you didn't even know was there if you remain curious and ask the questions like, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to get from this? What am I supposed to learn? What's the lesson
Hmm.
here? Because it's
Hmm.
always a lesson
And
every single
that's the
time.
understanding I'm at now. I don't care what it is.
Yes.
If I'm in this zone or I'm experiencing it, how do I
Hmm.
need to look at it to be able to get as much evidence from it,
Hmm.
enough information to not repeat it and understand? Because sometimes we're in a situation as well where we're confronting something that someone does not have the mental ability to process and
Hmm.
understand. Like you said, well, you know, I wouldn't do it. That's you, not them.
Yeah,
And you have to
that's it.
understand that sometimes you just got to walk away quietly and mind your own
Hmm.
business. But again,
Yes.
that's my
Look.
perspective.
That's it. And I'm right there with you. And I really feel like that's why we connected so well because we're on a very similar frequency, same wavelength when it comes to stuff like that. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I feel like there was a one thing you just said, and I'm just like, ooh, that resonates about how like so if someone may not be in the same like mental capacity as you, or maybe you're just in a different place in your life, but y'all have frequency or friction. Sorry, the word is
Yes,
friction, not frequency. But if you have a little bit of friction, it it, it could totally have nothing to do with you. And if you keep circling that same path, you come right back around and you in it again. It's like, okay, I didn't learn what I'm supposed to learn that first time.
correct.
Or maybe there's more to juice and milk out of this that I'm supposed to get. So why I didn't come here to not get everything that I could get out of this life. I'm going to get every single nugget, gem, jewel
Pearl.
that is dropped. So let me get it out of this. And this relationship, this situation, whether it's uncomfortable, doesn't feel good, there's something in it still for me. And I'm going to take everything that I can take while I'm here on this earth. So let
Yeah.
me get these lessons.
That is very, very, very important. This was years ago. I mean, my early 20s. I went
Hmm.
to this I think it was a Chinese restaurant because it was close to my job. So I would go in
Hmm.
there and order and be very respectful. And the lady, no, yes, this, that. And I was like, ugh. But I continued to frequent that because it was close. It was like 5 minutes from my job. I didn't want to drive
Yeah.
20 minutes. So one day
Yeah.
I came in there and I think I said to her, I said, why are you so nasty? I said, I'm always very kind to you.
Hmm.
And I saw the humanity of her come down and come to find out she had cancer. It wasn't about me.
Not at all.
She was dealing with internally what she was dealing with, and she didn't know how to for the she didn't know how to be nice about it. It didn't say it was okay. It made me
Right.
understand from that point on. When I deal with people, I still get to say my piece, but I understand
Hmm.
it's another piece behind that scene that I have no idea about. And she didn't have to disclose that she had cancer, but it made me
Right.
understand. So I would come in there more gentle and I would just say hi. And over time, she
Yeah.
became a little bit more peaceful. She became a little bit nicer. But honey, she
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, I said, wait a minute. It got to the point now, if she had did that now, because everything is a frequency and an energy, I wouldn't even come there
Hmm.
and get food because you can't touch my food
Yeah.
acting like that.
No,
But
I ain't eating
okay. But you know, when
that.
you're younger, you're just like,
Yeah.
whatever. So it just goes back to we're always learning lessons. And what can
Hmm.
we take out of the lesson? Because if we don't, it comes full circle back again.
Yes. There sometimes when I'm emceeing or hosting, I can feel the energy of the room. Like I can feel the pulse of where we are. And I adjust the things that I say or my humor or whatever based off of what I'm feeling because I feel it. So there have been times when I interact with folks, say like the woman from the restaurant, and you feel that you know and I feel it. I'm like, oh, okay. So do I need to break that down or what do I need to do with this? And there have been so many times where I will meet someone who is either experiencing their own personal crisis and they take it out on the next person or they're projecting or whatever the case may be. But I move in such a way where my energy will shift their energy. And by the time I'm done meeting with them, they're like telling me their life story. We best friends. And now I'm part of the family. She done adopted me. Like it's just like I didn't I didn't come in there for that purpose. I really came for my food. But I felt it and I felt there was work that needed to be done. And I can't really explain it, but we shift the energy of those that we're around. Now, sometimes they don't always work like that, and I have to be careful because I'm like, all right, Z, put up your boundaries. You need to move around because
Yes.
they not feeling you none. They blocking all my energy.
Yes.
Pop, pop, pop,
Yeah.
Millie Rock, pop, Millie Rock block. That's what they doing to my energy, and it's just like we're not getting along at all, and that's okay, and it's
hmm
perfectly fine. I said, all right, I did what this talent or this gift that is given to me. I've used it, and I'm done. Now, that could have fulfilled the one mission that I had because someone else is going to come behind that and use theirs,
Come
and then
on.
that's going to open them up, or whatever the case may be. I may never see them people again, but I know I did what I was supposed to do in that moment. Whew,
That
it'd be a
part I
lot.
can definitely relate
Yeah.
because I've experienced the same thing you experienced. But one
Yeah.
last thing, you may have been there just to drop the seed, and somebody else was there to cultivate it,
That's
to
it.
help it grow. But we all have
Hmm.
our parts to play. So I'm
Yes.
glad that you see life that way. It's not mandatory because I believe some people. What's the song by Tina Marie? She said, if your life is full of sin or you're angry or something to that effect, I'm
Hmm.
paraphrasing, you coming back again. So all you
Oh,
ones that are
yes.
super angry and nothing seems to work out all right, you better figure it out or you're gonna
Yeah.
have to come back and do that pattern all over again. Just my
Hmm.
perspective. But
Yeah, I agree.
but I could talk to you about
Yes.
everything. I
I
just
know.
love your perspective, and thank you for sharing that song of Jill Scott. I love Jill
Yeah.
Scott.
Yes.
Music as well. I think she's very freeing with what she does. She has no barriers with what it is. And I like that she's very, very clear when she does what she does. She said,
Yes.
children should be away. And I think we need to continue to identify that
Agreed.
because we've been allowing kids to be in grown folks' business. And I'm not saying that they should
Hmm.
not be exposed. It's just some
Right.
language, some things we're doing, they don't need to be a part of it.
100%. 100% accurate. And that's just a matter of making sure that you have age appropriate entertainment for our kids. I'm a big proponent of conscious entertainment and what we feed and digest ourselves. We have to also monitor for our kids. People who let their kids just go willy-nilly on the internet, I'm like, that's wild. That's wild work because it's
hmm
the wild, wild west out there. And if there are
Say
no
that.
guardrails, no boundaries, it's a wrap. And I know, like, I see it. I
Yeah.
got middle school age kids now, and I also have elementary school age kids. And like, well, why can't your kid just get a phone and surf the net and do all the thing? I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I've seen
Mhm.
Dateline one too many times. My kid not about to get swooped up. They used to be
Yeah.
back in the day in the 80s. It was like, watch out for the man in the van. I'm like, no, nowadays, watch out for the man in your hand. Like,
And
you know
in
what
the
I'm saying?
van.
And in
And in the
the
van.
vans, the hands, all of the things, because
Yeah.
now it's just coming at you from all different ways. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, yeah, teaching my kids to think critically, ask questions, and really to
Yes.
process. That is the key. So if you go watch something like this with me, we need to break this down. I need to make sure that you understand the pitfalls of this, the challenges with this,
hmm
and how detrimental it is, and then also being able to shield and protect at the same time. Like it's everything ain't for everybody, and when you have kids you just have to really be mindful of that even more, and then if you're not willing to do that, then you need to
Yeah.
reassess
No,
your role.
I definitely understand. My biggest thing, I'm
Yeah.
always teaching my children, what do you feel? You see it's not right, but what do you feel? Are you paying attention? What kind of feeling?
Hmm.
We've been taught to dismiss our feelings. Right now, emotions, people say, "Oh, no, emotions are good." It's when they're
Hmm.
out of control that's when it's an issue. So how do you feel when you see that? A cat and a dog, they ain't gonna think twice when something right. We be still like, what is that? You just saw the cat, the dog, and the bird fly away, and you still over there. Oh, the cat and the dog moving. I'm turning around and going too.
Deuces.
Exactly. It,
Okay, they ain't gonna communicate more than one time. You see
girl.
them run. That's
Yes.
it.
So building up that internal communication and being able to hear, we all have discernment in some level. It
Yes.
depends on what you've built up, but listen to it. Why do you feel that is your palm sweaty? Is your stomach, are you feeling uncomfortable? Do you have
Yes.
sweat under your arms? That might not be the place you need to be. So,
Yep.
anyway,
That's it. I exact same thing. When I have especially my 14-year-old, she's really good at this. She'll be like, I don't want to go. Like, oh, what? And you would think like, oh, when she go with all her friends, it's gonna be great. She's like, I don't want to go. I was like, okay, why? She was like, my stomach hurts when I think about it.
see,
Boom, say less.
yep,
Say less. We out of here.
yes,
We gotta go.
there you
And
go.
you're not gonna get me talking about like, well, you need to do this. And I'm not looking at this is her life, this is her perspective, and I'm building that confidence to trust your intuition because
Yeah,
the world is loud. And if they can't hear what's happening internally, they're not going to be able to make decisions when you're not around.
yeah.
So it's all about building that confidence so that they can trust themselves.
Hmm.
It's a
I
lot.
agree. I agree. I definitely agree. And that leads me into the segue talking about you doing let me get this right. You doing
Yes.
social work. What was the catalyst
Yes.
to say, I want to be a social worker? Because we know social work is layers. This is my
Yeah.
perspective. You can correct me if
Yes.
you're wrong, but it's so many layers because it supports children, it supports family, it supports the overall community because it's some segment that's the piece is out of pocket and you guys come in with your resources or your know-how to help put the pieces back together, so to speak. That's just my perspective on it.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your journey with being a social worker. And now you're in a management
Absolutely.
position.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that, and thank you for your perspective on that. Because mostly the most popular version of social work I hear is, oh, y'all take kids and you take kids from families. Like that's so popular. But my experience with the discipline of social work is very non-traditional. I literally went to school because I needed a fallback career. I have been studying theater from 12 years old to 18 years old. So the arts, my saving grace, went through a
Wow.
whole lot, but the arts is what really gave pretty much was the foundation of my identity, right? So I identified as a performer. So I get to school and they're like, all right, so what's your major? First I was gonna go through political science because I was thinking about maybe working in public affairs or maybe working as a public servant or maybe as an elected. And I went into my first class. I don't know if you are familiar with she's professor then, but Dina Titus.
Yes.
Dina Titus, elected Dina Titus was my teacher for poli sci. And
Wow.
yes, I was like, oh, I didn't know she had this whole life outside of being a professor. But in that capacity, she was teaching us about political science. And what I got from that was a lot of electeds only work to stay elected. Like you have your first 2 years, and if you aren't reelected, you can't get any of the things passed or changed or and I just felt a little bit defeated. I loved her as a teacher though, don't get me wrong, but it's just the
But no,
idea
we
of
want to
working as
know
an
these.
elected.
We want to know these
Yeah.
truths. And if I can just stop you, just so you know,
Yes.
we have an invisible pew right here. You can't see them, and I can't
Yes.
see them. But you're
Yes.
speaking to them. That's why I want people to come
Yes.
on and tell their truth because sometimes we feel
Absolutely.
like we're all by ourselves. And when you said, okay, this is not for me, you're talking to
Hmm.
somebody and they can reroute what they thought they were going to do.
Yes. That was the place that I was like, okay, I thought that this was gonna be the thing for me, and I know that there are people that agree as well. They're like, oh well, I don't think that I'm gonna make any difference or change or whatever the case may be. So I actually had a cousin in California who she was the only other person I knew that went to school that went into higher education, and I think she had just got her master's at that point. I said, so what do you do then? What did you study? And she's like, I study social work. I looked into it. They had it at my school at UNLV, and there wasn't as much math required. So I said, even better. I think I can do that. I had went into it not fully knowing what a social work was. I had never heard that term. I just knew that my cousin was successful and she was making good money and she got a degree. I said, that's enough for me. I'm gonna do that. Got in, let me tell you, the first 2 years I did the general ed, and when I get into the actual social work classes, I was like, what is this? We talk about people and environments and societies and systems. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that is mean.
Mm.
by junior year come around, it's time for us to do there's a practicum. So we get to go to different agencies where social workers work and we shadow them for a semester. As a bachelor level, you can really do what they were doing, but you can get an idea of what it takes to do their job. So the first semester I went to a state agency that provides services for folks such as like SNAP and Medicaid and welfare and all those things. And I said to myself, self, I know my mama want me to get this degree, and I know it will make everybody proud, but there ain't no way I'm doing this. This is not for me.
Really?
Yes, 100%. But it was junior year. I couldn't change. I didn't know what else to do. But let me tell you why. As a person who wants to make progress and change for my communities, the way it's set up to receive services is if you're a dollar over, you get nothing.
I
You get no service.
know.
And I was like, so that $1, all of a sudden they're not in poverty no more? Like, what do you mean? They still need help. What do you mean? Like
Yes.
this is supposed to be the help. This is supposed to be, but it's so much red tape and it's rules and policies and the way they're established. I knew that it wasn't helping certain people in our community. I was like, I can't do that. I can't do it. The next semester, I still had to do a practicum. I'm still forging through. I was like, no matter what, I'm getting this degree. I go to the next, but then I went to a foster care agency. Oh, oh my goodness. Lives changed. Like there is no two ways about it. You have kids that are vulnerable that need help, and there's an agency put in place to help them, match them with families. I got a chance to work with the youth, and I got a chance to there were positions that I got a chance to explore, like psychosocial rehabilitation counselor, and I was able to teach kids skills, basic community skills. I was like, I get paid to take you out in the community and teach you how to budget, how to spend your money. And I love the fact that I got to be creative to give them a different vision for their life. Because when you're in the system or when you're in foster care, it's hard to cultivate a vision of success,
Mhm.
of thriving when you literally are just trying to survive placement to placement or in this particular placement. I remember taking kids to IKEA once. We would go to IKEA because you know how the IKEA is like built, they have all the rooms. And I was like, oh, here we are at your house. Is this your house? This is your house. You chose it and you chose this house. So tell me about your life. What does it look like in this house?
Wow.
What do you do outside this house? Oh, your friends are coming over for dinner at 5. What you gonna cook for them? Oh, is this your table? And we literally would play pretend to give them a vision of what could be.
I love
And
that.
then from there we talk about the steps of how to get there, right? So it wasn't easy, but it was so worthwhile and fulfilling. Now I don't know what happens to the children after I left. That was a long time ago. I hope they're thriving adults. But I hope that I had planted something in them to give them an idea. I remember that day, that one day I lived in a New York City loft and
Come
I
on.
entertained my friends at 5. Like you've done this. I put you in that space. Your brain don't know the difference from real or fake. So
That's right.
you've lived it. So those are the kind of things I got a chance to do. And I was like, oh, then that means I could do something with this degree. I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. So I graduate. I decided not to get my license. And I spent a year after graduation. I moved back in with my grandma. Grandma took me and said, come on, baby, come on. What we go do?
Shout
And I
out
said,
to
I don't
grandma.
know. Grandma, they are a special blessing. Let me tell you,
Yes.
grandmas are whew, beautiful. And I went home. I moved back to California and I said, all right, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I spent a year working and I watched this film, and this film was about Black theater. It was about Black theater. And the film just talked about how we were mostly on stage only. We never owned the theaters that we played.
Mm.
We didn't have any professional actors, equity owned theater. Like we just weren't in position, but we were always the performers. And I said, that's it. I'm going back to school. I'm going to learn the business of the business. I'm going to own my own stuff. And I was like, I was gung ho. When I get an idea about something, like, I go for it. So I told my grandma, I said, Grandma, I'm going to Howard University. I'm gonna study arts administration. They
Okay,
don't have
Howard.
admissions, but I'm gonna get a second bachelor's. Yes, HUU, no. Um, so my grandmother paid for my application fee with her credit card.
Bless her heart.
A week later, I got my acceptance, and I had to be out there a week after that. I didn't know nobody at all. I've been to DC one time when I was 9 on a school trip because my grandma had raised money selling nachos to get me there. So it was just like it was a lot.
Shout out to
So
grandma again.
grandma's again. Like, look, she is my life is a testament to Doris Deloney, my grandmother, period. Like period in dot. And then my mom for allowing her to raise me. So I get both of them women right there, Cecilia Canada and Doris Deloney.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
get the acceptance. I'm also in a sorority at that time. I had joined at UNLV, Sigma Gamma Rho, which now I'm the president of the alumni chapter. So I put a call out. I said, hey, sorority sisters, sorors, I've never been to your area, but I just got my acceptance to Howard. Can anybody point me in the right direction? I had somebody say, girl, come on here. You go live with me. I'm gonna get you acclimated. I didn't know them from a tea in China. So I fly out there. I'll meet up with her. She picked me up from the airport. I'm living with my sorority sisters. I'm going to school, getting my class schedule, and I'm going to school for arts administration. And Howard was everything you thought it was gonna be, baby. And it was
Listen,
amazing. It was Chocolate City. I loved
you
it.
know, you
Uh,
know, listen, I love DC, Maryland, Virginia.
yes. Oh,
You
the
you
whole
gonna get the
DMV.
best of everything.
Oh, the food. Oh my gosh. It was just a beautiful experience. It was what I wanted in my undergrad, but I didn't want to go that far. But got a chance to go to Howard. I was there for about a year and a half, and I was like, I'm ready to work. I'm ready. I'm itching. I'm ready to get out there. And I ended up getting an internship in New York. So it was on a limited run for a show called Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams, but they were
Okay.
doing an all black production of it with a black producer. Debbie Allen was a director.
Stop it.
Uh, Felicia Rashad, James Earl Jones. I mean, all the stars was in this. And I'm like, I get to work on this. This was my first show. And I was like, this is it. I done made it. I didn't quite make it after that, but when I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But when I looked at the audience of who came to see the show,
They
it was
didn't look
not
like
us.
us.
No, no, it was like middle-aged white ladies. Like that's who comes to see shows on Broadway because who can
Hmm.
afford it? But I mean, we did have some nights where, of course, we had church groups would come pull up, be in the audience, and those were great nights. But it was too far and few in between. Needless to say, a few years later, I'm getting back to social work. I promise you. So as we're doing these shows, and I'm struggling trying to get on show to show, it wasn't the easiest thing, even after landing a Broadway show. It was. Um, it was those weeks where I made $100 and weeks where I made like big money.
Mm.
But as I'm doing it, I'm noticing one, I'm still doing social work because the route that I went to in theater management was the route of not social worker, company manager. So the
Mm.
company manager is the one that represents the management company while you're on the road. They do payroll, they pay bills, they make sure
Oh,
actors have
wow.
housing, they make sure like I had never been anywhere before, but by the time I became a assistant company manager, it was my job to find the grocery stores in every city, the ear, nose, and throat doctors in every city, housing in every city. Like I had to
Wow.
know every city because we were bringing these actors on the road. So I needed to maintain your quality of life while you were with
Hmm.
us. So it was a heavy, intensive job around the clock. I get calls in the middle of the night. I got arrested. I'm like, what? Like it was all kind of crazy stuff. But
Wow.
as I'm doing it, I'm realizing I'm working with people, humans in this social environment. What factors are impacting them? What's impacting their mental health? How am I able to help them with that? Who can I connect them with? Connecting people to resources, connecting people to the greater systems that they are involved in. I'm like, I'm doing social work, it's just in theater. So I'm doing that, enjoying it, getting upset because the audience don't look like the cast on the stage,
Mm.
getting upset because we don't own the stuff. I'm like, this is not happening fast enough for me. And then about 2015, I was in my last theater in Dallas, and I said, I got to do something about this. Maybe there's a way I can study why the audience don't look like the cast and the intrinsic like therapeutic benefit of seeing ourselves reflected on the stage. Maybe I can
Mm.
use my social work study to figure it out and propose changes to these theater companies, to the arts and entertainment community on how to fix it. So again, here we go. I made another decision of what I'm going to do. I go back to grad school and I go for my MSW, my Master's of Social Work. I said, this is it. Now I figure out how I want to do social work. And it looks very different. It's not specific. I'm not taking kids. I'm not
Hmm.
allocating programs, but it is looking at humans and our behavior and how and what it is. So I go back to UNLV. I study social work and I look at management and community practice, meaning it's not just working with individuals. I'm working with communities. I'm working with organizations and businesses, changing policy. Like it's a bigger view of what social work could be. And I loved it, but I still couldn't figure out how to make money because people pay you to do social worky things,
Girl.
which is you sit
Yeah.
at a desk, you allocate programs.
Yeah.
Or they go the other route and you're a therapist or you're a clinician. I was like, I don't want to do that either. So I was able to take my social work practice and make it what I wanted it to be, how I can help communities, help on a larger scale. And that's what I did. I ended up working in nonprofit. So I left theater and I ended up going into I graduated into a pandemic, which is funny because even in my undergrad degree, I graduated into a recession. Like
Listen.
I just can't win. Every time I graduate, something big happens. So the
Wow.
pandemic hits and it's like, oh, where am I going to find work? And I ended up getting, I worked for the state for a little bit, but then there was a vaccine equity coordinator that came about with the CDC Foundation. I was like, I don't know nothing about vaccines, but I do know equity. And I understand that everyone needs to have access, no matter what you identify as, no matter what
Social
your belief
background.
is around it,
Mhm.
social background, demographics, whatever your belief is about the vaccine itself, you still need to have access to it. So we need to put plans in place to make sure that everyone has equitable access, no matter what it is. And that's what I got to work on. And I used my social work background, my practicum experience, because in grad school I had another practicum, and I really just dove into it. And then from there I ended up working with a nonprofit called Make It Work Nevada, which is amazing. They focus on reproductive justice for folks. And
Mm.
people think they know what reproductive justice is. Oh, the right to have kids or not have kids. It's also the right to live in a safe and sustainable neighborhood. Like
Mhm.
if you're gonna reproduce, you should be able to do so in a neighborhood that is safe and sustainable for you, which is clean air, trees. We have neighborhoods in Nevada and Vegas that are hotter than other neighborhoods because there's
True.
not enough trees planted. So we got heat deserts and we got food deserts. I was like, I can't reproduce in an environment that ain't sustainable. So we need to make it
Yes.
sustainable. And that's reproductive justice in a nutshell. There's four pillars to it. I can go into
Well,
it
I
another
didn't
time.
know that. Today I'm
Yeah.
definitely the student because when I say reproduction justice for me is to be
Hmm.
able to have complete autonomy over my body, what I
Yes. That
choose to
too.
do,
Yes.
how I choose to do it. If I don't want to have the child, if I do want to have the child, if
Yes.
it's because a situation where you've been raped or whatever the case may be, I have
Yes.
complete autonomy over my body. So I thought that was just, but I guess it's another
It's
layer.
bigger than that. It's that too. It's more layers. There's absolutely that. And there was a group of women in 1992, Black women, coined the term reproductive justice. And they founded it and based it off of four pillars: that bodily autonomy, absolutely. You should have right to birth control if you want it, not want it, whatever you want your body to be, you have that autonomy to do that. Then there is that piece about a safe and sustainable
Hmm.
environment to have a family or not have a family. Like these are your rights under reproductive justice. And I feel like reproductive justice is the umbrella for every other kind of justice:
Hmm.
economic justice, political justice, social justice, like every kind of justice you can need, it is underneath that umbrella of reproductive justice because we all are a part of the reproductive process. How else did you get here? So
Yeah.
whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
we're all a part of that. And I learned so much at that time, and it allowed me to go out into communities and organize and help to promote policies that support our communities. And it was all under the umbrella of reproductive justice. So with that, it just took it took such a huge shape, and it even brought me back to art because I had a chance to work on a project where we were trying to get a mural approved at uh I was about to say McCarran, Harry Reid Airport.
Okay.
So
But
we
McCarran
wanted a
was the
mural.
original name.
That was the original name. Yes, we ain't talking about McCarran. No, McCarran has its own background and history. But
Oh,
Harry
okay.
Reid, yeah, look it up. Google a dude. It was rough, but renamed to Harry Reid Airport. So I had a chance to we wanted to the director of the org at the time wanted to install a huge mural as a ode to Ruby Duncan. Ruby
Okay.
Duncan is a main pillar. Yes, we know Miss Duncan,
Yes.
fire advocate,
And been going strong for
organizer.
centuries.
Yes, facts. And it was through her work that we got the SNAP program here in Nevada. Like if it was not for her work, we would not have that for families. We would not have WIC in Nevada. Her work created, it was reproductive justice to a T, right? Her organization is how we got the first library on the West Side. It's
Mm-hmm.
her work that like benefited families. So we want to, celebrate her in a big mural in an international airport that shows what our values are for this city. And we wanted to honor her, right? I've never worked on a mural before, but I know a lot of artists. So I just started doing the research. What does it take? What could it look like? Somebody came up with a vision of what it could look like. And I just kept working on the airport, and they finally gave us the approval. So I
Wow.
had to, yes, that was like a win for me. It was my arts, it was my social work coming together in a way to provide that representation and speak to our values as a community. And we kind of tied in more history and images from the West Side. Like the piece, whenever it does get installed, is going to be amazing. So we got the approval. And I said, "Oh, we got to use more arts. We use a lot of storytelling to get these to educate. We use storytelling to as an art form and as a tool or a strategy to help drive home some of these topics. And
Mm-hmm.
as a social worker, I get a chance to create these. I call social workers use interventions to make changes. So create an intervention that will help and aid a community in identifying where the issues are so that they can make changes. And we just help amplify whatever they need to make those changes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's social work for me.
Wow.
That's the social work I do. And that's the social work I love because it also is in alignment with my passion on this earth is to be of service. That's the highest
That,
position for me
that's
ever.
that's what I was going to say. It seems like no matter where you were placed or where you were at, you were
Yep.
stimulated or elevated to your highest where you can support community, family, children,
Yes. Yes.
adults in some form
Yep.
or fashion. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, if you don't mind me saying this, you're
Mhm.
Aquarius. And
Yes.
you guys are natural humanitarians. So
Humanitarians. Yep.
it's just naturally in you. So I can
Yeah.
understand that quest to be able to support any population in any kind of way.
Yes. Absolutely. It's part of the code of ethics for social workers. Like I literally, it is my job, it is my duty. I took an oath to serve every demographic, every community, even those who we may have different ideologies. And how do I still relate? Because we're human. We're
That
humans in this
yes.
social environment. So I am technically what's called a macro level social worker. So I look at the larger level of
Mm-hmm.
society and work from there. How do I make changes there? How do I make changes with community? And you have some social workers who do the therapy or the clinician route, where you'll go to their office and you work through
Mm-hmm.
talk therapy, or some do art therapy, some do dance movement therapy. But these are modalities that they use to work with clients one on one or work with families. So that's their level. That's the micro direct practice clinician level. I do the macro, but we all work together because if I had not had that one stint that I had working with individuals at the state level, those stories inform how I do the larger level of social work. Because if you're working up here all the time, you're never going to really get what's happening on the ground level of what's going on. You get
Yeah.
if you just see the bigger picture, you have to make the connection. So I got a chance to work on that level, and now I work on the community and larger level. And then with UNLV, which I'm so excited about, during my time with the organization, the nonprofit, I got a chance to work with students. Whew, students. I love students because it's my way. I feel like I'm really giving back. I get a chance to be an advisor, a liaison for all the students in our social work program. So now I graduated from this program.
Nice.
Now I'm their liaison for all the different practicum experiences that they go through. So it's kind of like an internship, but it's a practicum because we apply our theory that we learn in class to practice.
Oh,
So it
nice.
gives them a way to practice the theories. And I always struggle with trying to make the two. Like I get it in theory, but
Yeah.
how does it look when you do
Well,
it?
we
That's what a
always have to,
practicum is.
yeah, you always have to have some real life experience. And if I could just
Yes.
double back how I live my
Yeah.
life, and I think this is how you apply, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
that regardless, I try to spirit by the spirit. I am a
Mm,
woman, a black woman that represent and rep, but I am also very,
yeah.
very clear that your spirit represents who you are. You can be anything. And if you need that help and I'm able to provide it for you,
Yes.
I will do it. Period.
That's it. That is it. That is
So
it all day.
I love
So,
this journey. I
yeah.
love this story. Like I said, my invisible pew, they're like, oh, okay, girl, they got their popcorn out now because
Yes.
you took them
Mhm.
on a journey, and we need to know
Yeah.
these things because we know as babies coming up and they're in the middle of making decision, or because you said something at the very beginning. You know, when I was at
Yeah.
my 20s looking at the 30s and 40s, they look like they had it together. They
Yep.
have other things that they're trying to figure out, but it's
Hmm.
packaged like they have it together. So I think it's a
Yes.
good way to tell the story, to tell your truth so they can understand. So,
We do not. We do not have it all together. And that's
mm,
okay.
it is.
There's maybe some. There was some I was like, I don't know how y'all do that. I don't know how y'all doing that. But on this journey that I'm on, I saw enough of us that did not have it together in 20s and 30s. It didn't click for me until maybe like 36, 37. And now I'm in a pretty good mode of life. And it's only been like, I'm 42 now. So
And you look
I'm
good,
ready.
girl.
Yeah, thank you, girl. Okay. So now I'm looking forward to 50 and 60. What is that going to look like for me? And I'm so excited about that. I'm so
As you
curious to see
should.
that's how it should be. So just like hear my call, I thought I had the answer. I'm going to Howard. I'm about to own my own stuff. And then I didn't. And then I was like, oh, I got the answer. I'm going to UNLV. I got this. And then I was like, oh, I'm depressed. This is not what I thought it was going to be. And then I found out the next thing. It's like, you know what? That's what it is. Until one, I remember one day I said, you know what? I was working for the state. And I was like, I just don't want to do anything unless it's my passion. That's it.
And
I just want to do my what I'm passionate about. And I kid you not, after that, position after position was everything I'm passionate about. Even now, I'm passionate about the students. And that's why I'm here. And whatever comes after this, I'm just going to live in my passion for the rest of my life.
I
And
love it.
that's just what it
I
is.
love it.
So
So look at your past as you were collecting real-time data to
yes,
assess and put into play
yes.
now.
That's it.
Really, I mean,
That's
that's what it
it.
is. That's truly what it is. So
Yeah.
let's go back and talk about
Yes.
music just a little bit more.
Yes, music. That's all I want to
Can
do. Yes.
you identify a song that you sung the majority of your life? You was like, yes, oh, oh, and then one day you
Yes.
like, wait 1 minute. I've been
Minute.
singing this
Yes.
particular song and I thought it was about this, but it's really about that. Can you
Yes.
identify a song?
Yes. So, okay. I'm gonna just say this. I knew this was coming, and I really struggled because most of the songs that I sang as a kid that I found out later were really about something else, all had to do with sex. I was just like, okay, that I got to be something deeper than that. Of course, that's obvious. Like I'm a kid, how would I know? And I'm just singing away, because especially them 70s, yeah, they was clever. They used to
Yes,
call stuff, and that wasn't the stuff that the stuff was supposed to be. I
of
said, "Oh,
course.
y'all were clever." So I sang a lot of songs like that as a kid, especially on Sundays when we had to clean up. But uh,
Okay.
but what I will say is that growing up, love songs, R&B songs, I'm I I can't even say that I didn't understand them at the time. I knew I wanted to experience what they were singing about.
Hmm.
So I would listen, and I felt like I always had an old soul. So I would listen to Anita Baker, and I would listen to Shaka Khan, and I would listen to these songs, and I'm like, oh, sweet thing. I'm like, I want to feel that. So I resonated with all the emotion in the songs that
Mm-hmm.
were sang. I
Mm-hmm.
would sing them, and I was kind of setting myself up. So I was like, oh, one day when I get older and grown, I'm gonna be so in love with somebody that's gonna feel so sweet and amazing. So now I'll become a grown up,
Come on.
and I get there, and I'm with somebody that I think is the sweet thing, but it ain't like the song said. It wasn't as easy as what the song said. It was like, oh, it's not that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm identifying the love from the song, but it turns out to not be the same because being human is complicated and it's just kind of messy and the thoughts that I have and the thoughts that you have not being communicated and we just miscommunicating, button heads. I was like, okay, now we're in the I'm going down, doo, 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 I'm going. And I was just like, I remember singing that too as a kid,
Yes.
and I'm just like, oh, she's hurting so bad. He did her so wrong. And I was like, I, I get to adult, and I still feel that. I feel the emotion from it. So I've
Yes.
always understood the emotion behind songs.
Mm-hmm.
But when you place it, you overlay it with your life and your experiences as an adult, it just it
It may not
either
add up.
it may not add up. It just
Yeah.
that wasn't happening like I thought it was. Like the fairy tales of the songs were not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then when I think about was it Lenny Williams singing? Oh, 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 oh. I was like, oh, he really loved her so much. Oh
Huh.
my God. Oh, I feel his heartbreak. And I'm like 8, 9, like, oh, it just hurts him so bad.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, I
Yes.
want somebody to love me like that. And then
Okay.
I
Because
get,
he was breaking it down, honey.
oh, he was breaking it down. Oh, and then he found somebody else.
Girl. Or, I mean, that's just what
Right. That's it.
yeah, and we look at when we're a child, if I may say, the
Yeah.
tone, the cadence, even if we don't know what it is, the melody, the syncopation of it, that's what
Yeah.
we enjoy until we sometime identify the lyrics or we find
Yeah.
out, like, oh, okay, I didn't know that's what
Yeah.
it was. But yeah, you do add some of that fairy tale to it, but it's just a story that's being told and it may not always
Yeah.
apply to your life.
Yes, it's a snapshot in that artist's life or a snapshot of a story that the artist has created. And but that's how our life is. Like there are snapshots and pieces of our life that can be captured in a quick 3-minute song, or
Mhm,
unless you're from the
mhm,
70s, a 9-minute song,
mhm,
you know? So,
mhm. Yes,
but and that was okay. I just always loved stories and then writing my own stories and making my own. I also grew up watching a lot of soap operas with my grandma. So when I hear
oh,
these songs, it's just like it's so dramatical and I'm so used to drama. It's so great. And then I grow up and I'm like, it's
yeah.
not, I mean, it's like real life is dramatical too.
And you got to
It's a
work
lot.
through it.
You got to work through it. That's
Yeah.
it. And then that's why I'm glad that one thing I will say about social work is I love that it forces you to examine yourself. Like I always have to check my biases. I always have to process, ooh, that triggered me. Why? And I have to
Mm,
look into that because I can't work with anybody else until I deal with me first.
mhm, mhm.
So it literally was in classes where we would have to study that for ourselves and then we could work with other people. So I love that a self-examination. And then I'm Aquarius too, so I'm always examining self. It
Yes.
just
You
that's
can't
it.
help yourself. You can't help
Cannot.
yourself.
I
But no, I
cannot.
think that's really good before you deal with somebody. If you know you have some kind of bias, it will not benefit them as a whole. So
Yeah.
maybe you need to step back and examine you or just tap somebody else in and
Mhm.
say, hey, I may need you to do this because I can't quite be a part of it or give my authentic self to this person because I don't believe in what they're doing.
Yes.
So,
That's
no,
it. That's
I
real.
I definitely understand that. So, before because we getting a little close on time, so I definitely want to talk
Yeah.
about. You mentioned a little bit. I mentioned at the beginning you being the president of Sigma
Stigma.
Gamma Rho. How
Yeah.
did that process start off? What made you want to
Yeah.
choose this particular? And it's 102, 103 years old.
Yeah.
This
Over.
organization.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Founded in 1922.
Yes.
So we celebrate our centennial in 22.
Okay, so tell
Mhm.
me what was the catalyst for you to be a part of this and then jump to be the president of the organization or the
Yeah.
Vegas chapter?
Absolutely. So this is my personal experience, my personal journey. They are my views in no way represent the entire sorority of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Just had to throw the disclaimer out there.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I was very fortunate at 14. I moved to Vegas at 14 to begin high school, and my mom lived here. So this is when I transitioned to live with my mom, and I got a chance to attend the Las Vegas Academy of Performing Arts. But that summer before I started, my mom brought me to the West Las Vegas Arts Center. And I feel like that's the hub. Like if you from somewhere else, like you trying to tap back in, you go to the West Side. And
You
I
know
went to the
Chimney?
art center. Come on now, Jimmy. Yes, that girl sang in
Girl,
Chimney. Yes.
when you said that, I was like, you got to know her. But anyway, I
Oh yeah.
digress.
Yeah, so in the 90s, that's like all the teenagers were there. And that's how I met my community right there on the west side. And I spent every Saturday there. I went to the performing arts camp there. Like I spent my time on the west side. But while I was there, I experienced a lot of housing issues. Me and my mom struggled a lot financially. So I think I moved in high school maybe like 27 times. But the constant for me always was the art center and my school, Las Vegas Academy. So I had the arts. I was all arts all the time. And at that time, so there was the theater manager at the time. Her name was Joyce Thomas, and she was a soror of Sigma Gamma Rho. So she see all these youth or whatever, and we're always through there. And the sorority at the time created their first youth group. It's a national program of the sorority, but they were bringing it here to Vegas. It's called the Rower Club. I kid you not. I was just there on a Saturday. She tapped me, pulled me over. She said, "Sign your name here. Come back here next Sunday." And I did. And then I became a member of the group. I don't know. Joyce, you did what Joyce told you to do, and I did. I was like, "Mom, this lady, she told me to come back on Saturday. I got to be there, bring $30." And boom, I'm a member of the rower club. And I had
Wow.
no idea how that one instance would change the trajectory of my life. Like it from the rower club, we planned events, we did lots of community service, and we planned our own community services, and we were taught leadership skills. We went to conferences, and it
Mm.
started with the rower club of 7 of us that got inducted. And then after that, high school just I had the rower club. I was at the West Las Vegas Arts Center. I'm doing my thing at the academy. Like life was great. So I didn't even notice that we were unhoused. Like I didn't
Wow.
notice what was happening. And I was using the arts at that time. And now I realize the power of the arts and how therapeutic it is. I
Hmm.
was taking what was really half my reality and using the arts to deal with it and to process it and cope with it. And I would say I didn't experience depression, anxiety, or anything through high school. I was taking it out in arts and I was using
Wow.
improv to deal with it. And right now that inspired me to create a workshop that I plan to promote out there about improv is life. It's the improv empowerment project where we use improv to teach you leadership skills, build confidence,
I love
work with
it.
teams, work with organizations, work with individuals using improv skills to be able to learn to flex and deal with the chaos of life.
Yeah.
So that all came out of me experiencing high school and being a being a rower. And then okay, so I took it a little overboard. As a rower, our colors are blue and gold, the
Yes.
same colors of the sorority. My entire closet was blue and gold. I would wear blue and gold to school, blue and gold, have my rower stuff, wear my rower gear. I'm rowered out. Okay. So when I get to college, you can't wear the rower stuff no more because I'm 18. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And I
Oh,
was like, the only way to go is Sigma Gamma Rho. Because Sigma Gamma Rho is the big sisters of the rower club, and that's just it.
oh,
I didn't go to anybody's informational. I went straight to the Sigma Gamma Rho. I was like, that's it. Where y'all at? What we doing? Put me up. Let's go. I
wow.
joined Sigma Gamma Rho, and so I'm dealing with the social work thing, trying to figure out my degree in life. But I also, through Sigma Gamma Rho, began leading. I was a leader of my undergraduate chapter at UNLV. We planned events, we won awards. I also learned how to coalition build before I even knew that that was a term. I would,
Wow.
as the president of my undergraduate chapter, I would tap the Black Student Association, Mecha with the Latinx students. Then I would also pull in like the other rebels that like we got to come together if we're trying to get this passed. And I was like, I was doing all the stuff as an undergrad and didn't even know I was doing it. It just
Wow.
was natural instinct to me. So then to find out now as a grown up, I was a grown up then, but now as a real professional, there are literal jobs that do that. Organizers, activists, political strategists, analyze, like there are real jobs that correspond to what I was just doing naturally.
Yeah.
I was just like, I am so fulfilled. So from there, I graduate. I also go for my master's. And when you graduate, you go on to the next chapter, an alumni chapter. And I was very blessed that, when I left here after I graduated, I moved back to my grandma's house. I joined a chapter in California, the graduate chapter.
Mm,
So I got a chance to experience a grad chapter there. When I went to DC, I moved to a different grad chapter. So I've been in
mm.
chapters all over the country. And I've been Texas, Seattle, Inglewood,
Okay.
DC, Maryland. So I've been all over the states as a member of this organization. I come back to Vegas, I get established again in 2015, and I go to grad school, whatever. So now here I am, 2020 is when I ran for president of my alumni chapter. And it has been a wild ride. It's been great because we have this platform to do all kinds of stuff. So now I have this wealth of experience plus this platform, and it is just taking off. And we're not even done yet. I still have one more
Wow.
year in my term. So there's so much more that we
Wow.
want to do. Whew, it's
Well,
a lot.
well, you know what? Congratulations. And it seems
Thank you.
every time you tell a story, it seems to come full circle to
It
you.
does. You can't plan that.
You can't. It was just meant to be. It was
It
just
was.
wasn't the route that you thought it probably should
That
be.
that is it. If we can get out of our minds, and if that's anything, anybody in that pew, I
Come
see
on.
you. I see you. If we could just get out of our minds, it doesn't look the way we think it should look because TV
Yes.
tell us what it should be. The whatever, excuse me,
Bless you.
allergies coming in. This ain't gonna stop my story, allergies. But it's literally if we could just get out of the mindset that it don't look the way I think it should look
Yeah.
and go with the flow, you won't go wrong.
I
I
think those words
you
are very important.
the expectation, it's expectation, that's what it is. It's
Hmm.
the disconnect between what your expectation is and what your actual experience is that causes stress, anxiety, and depression. If
Hmm.
we can get rid of that expectation, you gonna have
Hmm.
all the fun experiences, and that's when life gets really fun.
Well, we'll put it back. If you go back to church, they say God is going to bless you, but He didn't tell you how He was going to bless you.
Facts.
So
Facts.
I think
That's
if
it.
we take that into consideration and know that, hey, you just got to keep going. It may not look like
Mhm.
because we'll draw this picture and we think that picture
Yeah.
was, and the blessing could be waiting right there. But because that picture looked like it is, we was like, no, it's not. You got a brand new car over here, but I want the BMW. But you got a Land Rover over here. But again, it's the perception and what you think it should look like. So kudos to you for
Yes.
saying that. I do want to touch on one thing before we get out of here, and then I have one more question regarding music. You talked about
Mhm.
on your Facebook about your grandfather's father's father's land in Texas.
Ooh,
I want to
yes.
know about that because we have my belief is we are in we have so much land in different places, but
Mhm.
because we were, in my perspective, I call paperwork pimp. Our name was changed.
Yep.
At one point, we were this, we that, and because of that, we had no longer access to our native land. So anyway, that may not have nothing to do with
Yes.
that. I just want you to give me something about that story from your
Yeah.
grandfather's father's father in Texas. And where is it at?
Absolutely.
200-year-old land, correct?
At least, yeah. At least. It that was quite a journey. I've always been like enthralled with history. Like I love to learn history. I love to it helps me to process my place in the present by knowing history. So
Mm.
always been hungry, asking my grandmother, tell me about your grandmother, tell me about your grandpa, tell me about your mom, tell me about and it growing up in a black family with secrets, a lot of people don't open up. So you have to wait until some people leave before you can get some answers. And I remember Alex Haley's Queen had come out on TV. I was about 9 or 10, and we were doing like a family tree at school, and Queen had came out. I was just like, I want to know what was our family doing in the 1800s? What were we doing? What did we look like? Who was there? And I didn't get a lot of answers. A lot of folks wouldn't talk to me about it. Like
It's a
my
lot of
my
hurts
grandmother's
too.
siblings, it's a lot of hurt, a lot of unresolved trauma, a lot of a non-healing happening, but you can't do it until you talk about it. That's how
I
you start
agree.
the healing process. So I didn't find out a lot, but it wasn't until I got older and I said, I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna go, especially I lived in Dallas. My family's from Texas, Oakwood, Texas, an hour from Dallas. I was like,
Okay.
I'm gonna dive in. This is my time. I didn't get to do as much because theater had me busy, but I got to do pull a few things. And then I joined the ancestry.com thing and I started looking at my family tree and I start putting names in places and building a tree. And I found out about some land that we had in Texas that I was an hour away from. And I met cousins that I'm related to that I didn't know. And I started asking questions and then we started making the connection. I've been to the reunion twice. The problem is, and you kind of spoke to it, my, oh gosh, my grandma, my great grandmother's grandparents were deeded land during the Homestead Act, 500 acres. I'm like, 500 acres? You know what we can do with 500 acres?
Okay.
Well, by the time the heirs began becoming heirs, the lawyer in the town not charging for their work, but siphoning off land.
Oh, they was
Um,
charging. They was
yeah,
just
they was
charging what you didn't know.
exactly. It wasn't financial. They were charging all taking your land from underneath you. My grandfather's grandfather, we weren't sure about his literacy, but he also couldn't write his name, so he just put X's on a lot of documents, and he didn't know exactly what he was signing some of the times. So we went from 500 acres to like 250 acres to by the time I finally met my family and got in touch with them, we had 125 acres that had back taxes, like over $100,000 worth of back taxes. We couldn't come up
Mm-mm.
with that money. I'm still a struggling RT social worker. Like I can't help, but it was our family's opportunity in my family, like my brothers and my mom and my grandmother was she wasn't doing well, to at least try to do something, save something, make people aware of this. And we did. We did end up losing a third because my great grandma had a lot of kids. A lot, no, she didn't have a lot of kids. She had a lot of siblings. So
Mm.
that created a whole bunch of heirs. So that it's called heirs property. And if you don't document it properly, it it gets away from you. It's very difficult to maintain. It's hard to say whose family has what, and it has been a struggle trying to get access to that land for my side of the family, and it's unfortunate and it's sad. But I got a chance to go to the land, learn my history, learn where my people were from, and that to me was the most important,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can build whatever else I want to do. I knew that they did it then in 1864, 1865. I can do it here in 2024,
Come on.
2025. So because of that journey, it just really opened my eyes to um, the DNA that's within me and the
Yes.
stock that I come from.
Yes.
And I hope anybody who everybody can go through this journey to find where they come from. Now I found some other stories too. I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's a tough pill to swallow, but we have to deal with it and we have to acknowledge it so we can learn from it and move past it.
Yeah.
So I'm still working with them. And even this summer, there's another side of the family that they are from Palestine, Texas, and I'm looking forward to getting in touch with them so I can go to their family reunion and learn more. That is my great grandma. We call her Big Mama. That's my big mama's mother's side of the family, and I cannot wait to learn
Wow.
more. Who knows stories? I need them. I need them now,
Yes.
like yesterday, so I can
Bec-
pass it down to my kids.
and not only that, it'll help break cycles and
Yeah.
behavior and patterns because sometimes if you peer back, you find something that you were struggling with was also
Mm-hmm.
something they were struggling with, but they kept it a secret. And now you can
Yes.
take it and say, okay, I don't want to do the same thing, nor do I want to pass it on to my children. How can
Right.
I um, eliminate this so my lineage that's going forward will not have to deal
Yeah.
with that? And I think that's the biggest part of it, just to be able to learn and see. And it's amazing. You see people that look like you, like, oh my gosh, I look like this person. I'm still dealing and trying to, with everything I do, I'm still trying to find out my side and all the different things with that. So I
Yes.
encourage you to keep doing that because that is also my story to keep, looking and finding out certain things. So With that being said, before we get out of here,
Yeah.
I wish I had longer. This probably is going to be a two-part, but can you, before we get out of here, tell my audience how they can get in contact with you if you have any social platforms that you're offering, any events, anything you'd like to share with them?
Yes. Well, um, there's so many ways. I'm a part of like every organization. But if you're interested in learning more about my social work and the way I pair it with the arts, you're welcome to send me an email at creativecollectivenv@gmail.com. That's the Creative Collective NV@gmail.com. I'm also on social media. You are welcome to follow me on, let me get it right, because the ats and the hashtags and the
Well, if you
underscore.
don't get it
So
exactly right, I'll
yes,
make sure I put
please
it in the
fix it in the show
description
notes.
box.
Yeah, put it in the notes because I'm messing it up. But it's at Zarinah Tahir underscore NV on Instagram. And you're welcome to connect with me send me a message or interact with my posts. I always post different community offerings. I just share everything that's happening because I don't want anybody to be not in the know. And I feel like the more you're in the know, the more we can connect. So
Yes.
yes, Instagram and email me.
Amazing. I do
Yeah.
have one last music question before we
Yes.
get out of here. If you had the opportunity to dedicate a song to the world, showing parts of your heart or all of your heart, is there a particular song you would like to dedicate?
Hmm. I had the answer at the top of the interview, but now here we are. Like, the super cliche is "We Are the World" just keeps popping in my head. And that is not the song that I chose, but "We Are the World,
Well,
We Are the Children." It's a beautiful song.
it really
And I even
is.
had to sing it in elementary school too. It was very anybody born in the 80s, y'all know we had to sing that song.
Girl,
Um
and all the
it
artists that came together, Michael Jackson,
all
Cyndi
of them.
Lauper, Lionel Richie.
Yeah, all of
Um,
them.
yes.
And did you see sorry, this is a tangent, but did you see the documentary about that night?
No.
You gotta look up the doc. It's streaming on something right now. I
Okay.
watched the documentary of them coming together to do it. Who showed up drunk? Who was like
Girl,
doing the most? It was the same night as like a big award show. So they were like, this is the best way to get everybody in the same place, and they stayed up till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It behind the scenes was very interesting, but.
oh wow. I would love
And then
to see
that they
that.
created this beautiful song, "We Are the World, We Are the Children."
We
We
are
gotta
the
come together
ones
and make
that
it a
make a better.
better place for you and me.
Yes, yes.
So
Well, I think that is the perfect way to segue out that we
yes,
are the ones, we are the children, we are the one
that's it.
that can, because some choose
Yes,
not to, that
it's
can make
true.
a better way. So,
Yeah,
I do have a spiel where I talk about the journey and the destination. The
yes,
journey is where we learn and where we grow. The destination is where we celebrate. Far too often, we're working so hard, we don't celebrate. And if you don't celebrate, you don't appreciate. And if you don't
yeah.
appreciate, then what are you really doing? But
Hmm.
when you get through celebrating and kicking and having a good time, you got to come back to the journey so you can continue to grow, you can continue to elevate. So I say all that to say when I have my men on, I salute them. When I have my women on, I bow. So I bow to you, beautiful lady. And I say thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure to learn from you. And don't be confused when I call you again and say, okay, we got to talk about because it was other things, but due to
Yeah.
time, I would love for us to talk about that. But I always like to give my guests the last words. So if you have any last words, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I think this is a wonderful experience. I love getting into life and processing where we are. Just know that your expectations of life does not have to be what you've seen. It could look any kind of way, just the way my social work can look any kind of way. This is your life. You are the star. Take your place and live to the fullest. That's what it's all about.
Ooh, you guys, please, we couldn't end it any better than that. You guys, please put your hand together and thank my beautiful, I'll say my beautiful, I've been calling her sis. I was texting her, I was like, ooh, I just automatically called you sis. I don't do
Yes.
that. I do say that to certain people. So just know it wasn't, I needed to get permission. Because I usually say, oh, can I call you sis? But I was like, oh, yes, sis. And you was responding back. So I kept
We was
going.
already, that's it. Because it felt like we was already there. And I have to be careful of that with other people too. Because I'm like, oh, I feel like we already know each other, but we don't.
Yeah.
But I need to work on that. I'm working on that for myself.
Well, with it being said, I thank you. And you guys, please put your hands together and thank my beautiful guest, Miss Zarinah Washington. For a minute, but as I say to all my guests, I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you, Alumnae.